Today, we will be creating another piece of op art. You know that op art is based on optical illusions. And optical illusions are like eye tricks. They are things that trick your eyes. We have learned that one way you can create optical illusions is by using color, and particularly opposite colors on the color wheel. You may have had a chance to make something like this, where you make the shapes appear by changing the color inside and outside of the shape. So to remember for today, one way you can create op art is by using color. Before we can get started, you will need to gather your materials. For the 3 to 4 circles, I am going to be using a plastic lid from a takeout container, the lid from a jar, and the cap of a water bottle. You could use anything circular that you have. Once you've gathered all of your materials, click Continue. You will start by tracing circles onto your page. Begin with your largest circle and trace it a few times. Then move on to a smaller circle and draw several of them. Make sure to overlap them as you do this. Then with your smallest object, trace more circles and make sure to overlap them as well. Now I want you to notice before moving on that even though I have circles overlapping, my page still looks controlled. I didn't go totally crazy, and it's still very clear where all of my lines are. This is important. You can challenge yourself by drawing as many circles as you want, but if your page becomes crazy, your finished product will not be as good. Now it's your turn. Next, use your Sharpie and ruler to draw straight lines across the page. I drew 5 lines going up and across, and I would aim to have that same amount. When you finish, turn your ruler and draw lines moving up and down the page. These should be spaced the same distance as the other lines that you drew. Now it's your turn. Now this is the most challenging step. First, I want to just show you the goal of this project. You'll be shading in the pieces like this, where each piece is a different color than the one next to it. The problem is, this can get very confusing very fast. Before we start shading, we want to make sure that we plan out what we're going to shade. We're going to do this by labeling each piece on our page with a colored dot. For example, because this piece is pink, this one is green. Because this piece is green, that's pink. And because that's pink, that's green. We keep repeating pink, green, making sure that the dot is always the opposite color of the one next to it. Make sure you take your time with this step and ask for help. It is better to be slow and steady than to rush through and make mistakes. Now it's your turn. Take your time on this step. Now that you have all your pieces labeled, all you need to do is color them. To keep your project neat, start with a darker color first. Here I'm using green. Now I have sped up this video a whole lot, but take your time and make sure that you keep your coloring within the lines. Your project will look better if you are patient and neat. Now it's your turn. And last but not least, you're going to use your second color to shade in the other pieces. Again, do this carefully, and if you missed any pieces along the way, you can go back with your first color and fill them in. Now it's your turn, and when you finish, congratulations on finishing this challenging op art piece.